Welcome to another exciting edition of Candidtalk. This is a program which features your favorite celebrities, social media influencers, business players, as well as entrepreneurs that are making a difference in society by impacting the lives of people positively. And our guest for today is none other than Dr. Daniel Kabani, the CEO of DNk General Consultants, a firm which he founded in 2017 and whose area of expertise is research, medical education, business development, and digital marketing. Let me not go into details. The doctor is here himself to tell us more about this. Doc, welcome to Candidtalk Show.
Thank you so much. I am excited to be here and to actually, I feel humbled that you have considered a time to come and have a chat with me over what we are doing with young people, what we are doing for this nation, and how we are trying to move things in a positive direction. So I feel very humbled by your presence here.
Wow, it is also our pleasure to have you. Doc, kindly tell us about yourself. Who is Dr. Kabani?
Okay. Well, this question always, it's a little bit complicated, I would say, for me, because over time, I think I have changed into many things. Okay? But I would want to begin maybe with just what we are doing now.
Okay.
Qualification-wise, I want to highlight that I am a pharmacist.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm a graduate of the University of Zambia School of Medicine,
Okay.
holding a Bachelor's of Science in Pharmacy. And then I went on to specialize for my Master's in Human Anatomy. So that is my education background. But I've studied a few other things away from that. I have done a bit of engineering, that is water engineering, and currently I am studying for my second and third Masters, which is a Masters of Business Administration, and also doing a Masters of Public Health.
Okay.
I'm a married man, a husband of one wife, a beautiful wife. My wife is a clinician, and equally a student of law.
Okay.
So that's us. Our family is still small. We are just two for now.
Just two. No kids?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
We hope it can expand soon, but
Okay.
we're just a family of two now. So in a nutshell, that's much about me, and I'm an entrepreneur, a personal development consultant, and a business consultant. So that's about me.
Kindly share your business journey and experiences so far.
Okay, so my business journey began quite a long time ago. It began in the 90s. When I say in the 90s, it means I was a little boy then. I was probably, before even starting school. My parents used to run a little, we call them tuntembas now, so they had a little cantemba. They were teachers, primary school teachers in the outskirts of Senanga district, what is now called Shangombo district. And it was the only cantemba where we actually were staying within that vicinity.
Okay.
My older brother and I then didn't understand business very much. We were the reason why that cantemba kept collapsing, because we'd go in, steal sweets, eat, go and take to friends. But later on, my parents told us that they would stop paying school fees for us, and they'll stop buying books for us and uniforms. Each one of us during holidays, you needed to raise money for your school fees and money for your uniform. But these were two teachers that were actually working. So whenever it was holiday time, for us it was business time. Okay. So with my older brother, we would go to sell, in December we would sell mangoes, because we had a lot of mangoes where we were staying. During April holiday and August holiday, we would be selling either ice blocks or scones, or would go at the market, because we then shifted to Senanga. And we had this little, again, stand where we used to sell cooking oil. That cooking oil in bottles, I have sold that with my elder brother. But we moved that way, even when we were in high school, because then my parents moved to start teaching at Senanga High School. My elder brother and I, sons of two high school teachers, who in that community you'd think they are doing fine. They trained us, we used to sell scones. Now here is how our day was. At break time, 10 hours, we would go and sell scones. We would be in class from 7 to 10. At 10 hours, we'd rush home and pick each one of us a bowl of scones. Go and sell to other pupils. 10:30, you rush back home, leave that thing, and you come back in class. 12:30, when we go for lunch, you would go home and pick a tray of fried fish and go to the school dining hall to sell to the other students. And then you go back. 14 hours, you go back for afternoon prep. Then you knock off. 17 hours, it is supper time for the students. We'd go back again and sell fish in the dining hall.
Wow.
Then 19 hours, we go back for evening prep. 21 hours, when we knock off, you go home and pick your scones again and go back to the hostels to sell. So they trained us to sell.
Okay.
And removed that shyness that most young people have for business. So when I came in college, then I started a business of my own now. And my first business in college was printing. I mean, in university it was printing. I bought, I remember my first printer I bought was a Lexmark printer. And it was a big mistake because I didn't know which printer to buy, but I just bought that and decided to advertise. We bought a camera with my older brother that we are taking pictures and printing them. We didn't know that you could not print pictures in such a printer. So we went getting pictures of people. We came, we printed, and just after printing 5 pictures, the whole cartridge ran out of ink.
Okay.
And we had no money to buy the next cartridges. So that was the first business. It grew that way. Then within college again, university, I started selling village chicken with my older brother. Used to buy village chicken from back home, come to sell to fellow students and lecturers. Started buying fish. I used to supply fish to Fajema at Evelyn Horn as a student. I used to supply fish to the canteen that is at Ridgeway School of Medicine there, and to the doctors and lecturers within UTH.
Wow.
So then when I graduated, I now went, because now I had a bit of money, I started my first big business, which was a thing I partnered with my elder brother called Cubs Business Ventures.
Okay.
It was a hardware and a building material business. We'd buy a 30-ton truck of cement from Chilanga, take back home, and that was the first big business that we did.
Wow, you have so much experience in business, Doc. But why did you decide to do a course that is not business related?
Okay, now you know, growing up, parents always have these feelings of who you should be. But for me, my parents allowed us to do what you want to do.
Okay.
I was always interested in science.
Okay.
Trust me, I never thought that at any point I would be an entrepreneur, because originally I used to think that business was for people that are not very intelligent. That was my thinking.
Okay.
Maybe because I was raised in a typical professional home. So I thought that life has to end up with, you having a professional job.
Okay.
Okay? So growing up, I didn't know what I wanted to be actually. The only thing I knew was that I have to be a scientist.
Okay.
So there was always this confusion about my career. That is why when I went to NRDC, I was going there to study animal science. I started studying animal science for 1 month. I felt bored. Then I went to the dean and told him to say, no, I want to change to engineering. Then I changed to engineering. I started doing engineering. I got bored with it. Actually, when I was leaving NRDC, I was the best student in my class for engineering.
Okay.
But when I came to UNS, I changed my mind that I don't want to do engineering. I want to do the life sciences. Okay. Either medicine, pharmacy, or biomedical sciences. These were my my options. Okay. So that is how I ended up in the medical sciences. Of course, NS is highly competitive.
Yes.
We were admitted 1,200 of us. we were admitted 1,200 of us. From that 1,200 of us, they needed just 50 to study medicine.
Okay.
And 30 to study pharmacy. And the most competitive quotas in the School of Medicine is medicine and pharmacy. They take, the points are very high. In my time to score into medicine, you needed to make about a 10.5 points, then pharmacy a 9 points. And then it goes on like that. So I wanted to do, mainly, I wanted to do pharmacy or biomed because personally I didn't really want to deal with patients. But something science related. So that is how I got quoted to the School of Medicine to actually do a bachelor's of pharmacy. Later on, I realized again I had interest in business. But at that point, I was not interested in studying business. I was interested in doing business. But not studying business.
Not studying, but doing.
But doing business. So I started doing business. It is only now that I've been an entrepreneur for quite a number of years now, that again I realized that there are certain things that I do not know, which would require me to go back to school for business. And that's why I'm now doing my Master's of Business Administration.
Okay, I see. Doc, what is your take on this one? Can one make it in life without school?
One can make it in life without school. They actually can. In the definition of making it, I want to think of it as one achieving their dreams.
Yes.
One can achieve their dreams. One can become a very powerful footballer without school. One can be a great musician without school. Many of the musicians we know have not done school. But here is the thing. If you want to make it in life without school, then you follow your talent. Because talent sometimes rarely needs school. Like music, like football, like art. There are artists who can draw and they can't even speak English. They can't even write, but they can draw. So if you chase your talent, yes, you can make it. But what of the world of business? Can one make it in business without school?
Of course.
Yes, one can. But one cannot make it in business without education.
Powerful.
Now I need to clarify that.
Yes.
It's possible to make it in business without school, but it is not possible to make it in business without education.
Just there, Doc. Sorry to cut you short. As you're explaining that one,
Sure.
I want you to just at least give a difference between schooling and education so that people may understand on that one.
Okay, so if you follow through the history of school and how the education system was built around school, the word school actually comes from some Latin word which is sakar. And what this means is that it was a place of instruction where people come and they are given instructions on what to do. That is what later on gave birth to school. Now, school has been built around a system of you acquiring a certain level of information. When you demonstrate that you have that information, you move to the next level. And that is considered an achievement. So when you move from grade 1 to grade 2, your parents are excited, you have achieved. You move from 7 to 8, they're excited. Even if you can't bring money home, they're excited that you have achieved because you have moved a certain level. That is education. So it is built around a system. Here in Zambia, we have primary, secondary, vocation, and tertiary education. That is how it has been arranged. Now, I'm sure by now, you have seen that there are many people who have gone through school up to tertiary level, but they are seated home doing nothing and they are unable to bring anything to the table. That in itself is a very clear indicator that school is not what only empowers a person to make it in life. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the nephews, the nieces, the brothers we have in our houses who have the schooling, the qualifications, but have not done anything. Now, what is education? Education is acquiring of new information and knowledge that empowers you to come up with solutions to problems. That is education. Now, this thing of acquiring information and knowledge to empower you to solve problems can either be done through the formal system, which is the schooling system, or it can be done outside the formal system. A very good example are such people as Bill Gates. Most people say Bill Gates is not educated. That's not true. Bill Gates is educated, but he has not gone through the school system.
True.
Another guy who dropped out of school is Mark Zuckerberg, the guy behind Facebook, who is also a billionaire. Mark Zuckerberg did not go through the education system, through the schooling, but he's highly educated. Can you imagine that? I was reading the biography of Bill Gates at some point. I don't know who wrote that. But even on his Facebook page, Bill Gates reads an average of 5 books in a month.
Okay.
Would we call such a person not educated? He's highly educated, but has not gone through school. Now, I was saying, it is almost impossible to make it in life if you're not educated. Why? When you get to do business, especially at a high-profile level of business, it requires education. Now, not qualifications, but education. To understand a contract, you need a certain level of education and exposure, mental exposure. For you to be able to write bidding documents, tender documents for a big tender. If I'm to give you an example of one of the projects we participated in, which is the Lusaka Mount Facility Economic Zone, when they advertised that, they needed you to write, to tender in. And when you write a tender, you need to put in what is called a technical proposal and a financial proposal. How do you write that if you are not educated? So you are going to find that in the end, you are able to do business, but your business is from the peripherals, the small businesses that don't really require technical stuff. So whatever it is, if you choose not to go to school, still choose to be educated.
Okay.
Get books and read, listen to YouTube videos, interact with great minds that can expand your mind. Then you'll get to the top.
I see. Do you think African children are not being prepared practically for the physical world outside school?
That's a very great question I should mention. I'm passionate about Africa. I actually look at myself as a Pan-Africanist. I believe in African solutions for African problems. You know, there's a little story that is told that one day monkeys were seated in a tree. And as these monkeys were seated in a tree, they saw a flood coming. And fish were busy jumping out of the water and back, out of the water and back. So the monkeys that are seated in the tree, they say, look, the fish are drowning. Let us go and save the fish. That's why they are busy jumping out of the water. The monkeys ran into the water and picked the fish and went and put the fish on the shore. And the fish were quiet. The monkeys went and climbed back in the tree and they said, look, the fish were almost dying. They are tired. Now they are sleeping. By the time they wake up, they are going to thank us for the job well done. Did the fish wake up? No. The fish died. Why? The monkeys introduced a monkey solution to a fish problem. And by doing so, they ended up killing the fish. That is the challenge that Africa has. The challenge Africa has is of getting monkey solutions to African problems. We go and get solutions from Europe and we come and just put them. Africa must begin to look at itself and say, how do we address our African problems? And I'm going to tell you that one of the biggest challenges we have is our education system.
Yes.
It does not prepare us. You know, my wife was showing me a picture recently that was posted by Mark Zuckerberg, showing how the wife is working to train 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds in computer programming, coding. This is a 6-year-old who is learning coding. And we understand that right now the world is in what we call the 4th revolution, which is the digital revolution. The people that are going to be industrial leaders are people who know how to code, people who know how to develop apps, people who can make websites, who can come up with digital solutions. Look at things like mobile money. That is a digital solution. It's a big business. But are these things created by Africans? No. So the current education system is not preparing African children for practical life. Look at what we are still learning at school right now. We are still memorizing Bismarck. Let me tell you something that my young brother told me. You know, when I was working at UTH, at some point, you get to, when you become senior, you get to mentor students as they come in the wards for their rotation. At one point, we received students that were coming from the US. These are students who are doing their Doctor of Pharmacy, what we call PharmD. And I was mentoring these guys. I asked them, do you know David, do you know Shaka, the Zulu? They said, no, we don't know Shaka. Who is Shaka? Said, do you know the Litunga? They said, no. Do you know Mwene Mdapa? They said, no. I mentioned all the big figures of Africa, the big kingdoms, the kingdoms of Bunyoro and many others that have been here, which were great kingdoms. They didn't know anything. Why are we learning about Vasco da Gama? Why are we learning about their Bismarck? Why are we learning about Columbus? When they are not learning about the great Africans. In other words, for them, even when they learn history, they are learning history that is relevant to them. We must learn history that is relevant to us, that will inspire our people. For example, if I'm to pick very typical examples, do you know that right here in Africa, in the kingdom of Bunyoro, in the 17 and 1800s, the people that, the African doctors that were there, not trained in a medical school, were able to do cesarean sections before Europe could do that. They were able to do neurosurgery. Village people in the village, they open the skull of somebody and treat that person in the brain and close back, and the person is alive. And this is a person who has never set foot in a medical school. But because we don't study African history, we have been meant to think we have always been primitive. Who built the wars, the great wars of Zimbabwe? That tells you that right here in Africa, we had architects. Who put up the pyramids of Egypt? It tells you that right here in Africa, we had architects. So we need to change our education system. Firstly, we need to update it to run with the times. But also we need to look back at our history and see how it will inspire young people to do great things.
Powerful. Doc, you speak over, or rather you stand before over 70,000 people every year. How do you manage that?
Okay, yes, so I speak, yes, to quite big numbers. On a weekly basis, on average, on a weekly basis, I'll speak maybe to more than 1,000 people. Because I'm invited to churches, to universities, to corporate institutions, to talk to people. It is something that started in high school. In high school, I used to talk to my friend about UNZA. By then, I didn't even know where UNZA was. My first time coming to Lusaka was in grade 8. I was going for a JETS competition to Pelembe High School, representing Western Province in junior mathematics. That was my first time. And I didn't even pass through UNZA, but my parents always used to talk about this great university, UNZA. So I used to talk to my friends like I had been there to motivate them. And I think it came from there. It also came from church. Mom and dad used to make us recite poems in church and everything. So that speaking career has gone that way. But how do I manage now? I have a powerful team with me. Okay, I'm sure you have met part of my team, like Mr. Arnold, who happens to be my personal manager, and you have been to the office, you have seen that team you have seen there, organizes my schedule, handles my appointments. My schedule is very busy, but I would say my team helps me to do this. On my own, it would have been very hard, but they help prepare everything. And yes.
Okay. Doc, so far, what is your biggest achievement?
I think my biggest achievement so far is ability to influence people. And impact lives. Why I do business is not to become the richest man. I have no interest in being the richest man on earth. My interest is to have financial capacity to empower people. If I could get the financial capacity without doing business, then I wouldn't even do business. So why I do business is to get financial capacity to empower young people. And these are some of the things we have done. If you have observed, there is a project recently we were doing where we have been giving free popcorn machines to young people to empower. The target is that by the end of this year, we should have given out 1,000 popcorn machines. So in these, especially in the compounds, we have young people in Tendere, young people in Kanyama, in all these compounds that we have given popcorn machines so that they begin a business actually from there. So my greatest achievement is ability to impact and change lives. And everything that we do, or that I do, whether it is business, whether it is school, it is for the sole purpose of changing lives.
Okay. Your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge that I have had is sometimes not believing in oneself. I know sometimes people get shocked to hear this because most people who have interacted with me, they think I'm very positive. Sometimes my own dreams scare me. Sometimes my own dreams scare me. Sometimes I find myself not believing in myself that I can do certain things. So that has been, I think, the greatest challenge. Number one, if I believed in myself much, I would be doing more than I'm currently doing.
So it's like your dreams are too big.
Yes, and here's the thing.
They seem to be bigger than yourself.
Yeah, somebody says, when you live in a community of blind people, actually it is an African proverb that says, in a community of blind people, a one-eyed man is a champion.
Yes.
And I always highlight that Africa is so used to mediocrity, such that average is celebrated as excellence. You know what I'm going to share with you? What I have done sounds like it is their achievements. But there are societies in which what I have done is nothing.
True.
Not even just in Zambia itself, but in Africa. Some people are impressed with my academic record. But look, if you went in a country like Nigeria, a person like me would not even be given a platform to speak. Because the youths there are highly educated. Here in Zambia, if you run a business with 1 or 2 employees and things like that, you look like you are big. But there are many young people that are doing great things across the globe. If you go to South Africa, just to share a little bit, there is a man called Tony Elmel. He's one of the richest Africans. He's actually the man behind UBA Bank.
Okay.
And he runs a foundation called Tony Elmel Foundation, which is calculated to empower 1 million young people across Africa in the next 10 years. This foundation advertises for funding. They fund businesses every year. They give about $10,000 to small businesses to grow them. We actually applied for one of those grants. But I'm going to tell you that a young brother of mine who applied for that grant last year and later on went to Nigeria to attend some meetings, highlighted to me that, for example, last year, you can imagine that a country like Nigeria had 1,000 youths applying for that. Do you know how many Zambians applied for this? Just 5. So in Zambia here, young people are used to an average life and they have accepted it as normal, such that when you talk about big dreams, you sound like you're boasting. And sometimes it becomes a challenge to know who you should share your dreams with, because you need to be careful who you share your dreams with. Some of the people you share your dreams with are the ones who kill the dreams. But here in Zambia, if I told somebody right now to say, one of my dreams is to build a hospital the size of UTH, doesn't that sound like daydreaming? of my dreams is to put up a hospital like UTH. But it will sound like daydream.
Yes.
You see, at some point when I told some of the young people to say, we're going to do what we're doing now, they laughed. But today we run DNk Branded Publishers, which is one of Zambia's leading publishing firms. We channel out books upon books.
Okay.
We have branded many businesses across this country.
Okay.
It was a dream. When we shared it, some people felt we were daydreaming. Today, DNk General Consultancy does not only have, on its medical education side, does not only train students within Zambia, it trains students outside Zambia.
Powerful.
We have students in Algeria, we have students in China, we have students in India, we have students in South Africa.
Okay.
It sounded like a dream. One day when I told people that, look, we are going to have this team. Today, on my team, I have actually, all that team you have seen at my office are all graduates.
Okay.
Yes. My team is full of graduates from UNZA, from CBU. On my team, I have doctors who work for us and all that. But at some point, it just sounded like daydreaming. So what my message to young people would be, don't be scared to dream. And also as you dream, get around yourself fellow dreamers.
True.
I have a team of friends who are crazy, such that when you tell them they're crazy, when you think this dream is too big, it sounds almost crazy. When you go and meet them, you'll be shocked that they are dreaming way bigger. Right now, in less than 16 days, we will be filling Mulungushi Conference Center with professionals, with youths, with academicians, with entrepreneurs, and I'll be doing a conference there.
Okay, tell us more about that one.
Okay. Now remember, I highlighted that the Zambian education system does not seem to prepare young people very well. And we understand this very well because I have taught in these universities. I have taught at Evelyn Home College, I have taught at Davcott College, then I taught at Apex Medical University, and when I was doing my master's with UNZA, I also taught at UNZA School of Medicine, where I was teaching medical students anatomy. So I have had a taste of the of the Zambian education system. Not only by teaching there, but I've also been in several of these. I've learned with UNZA, I've learned with NRDC, I've learned with CBU, I've learned with DIPA, and I've learned with UNILAS, and I've learned with Apex as a student to these different institutions. The gaps we realized in this is what DNk General Consultancy is actually addressing. So number one, we learned that our education, we came to realize that our education is not practical. That is why the pharmacies are not owned by pharmacists like me. There are very few pharmacists in Zambia who own pharmacies. You can count them. There might even be less than 20.